Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Andrew Chow. I hope you can hear me. So, welcome to this special edition of afternoon webinar. I know that it's after lunch on a Saturday. You probably be struggling with food coma, but I promise you that this will be an exciting time because we are learning about tech and not just about virtual tech, but to be creative in using tech. So, we have a few things that we want to highlight as we go along. So this is a hybrid event where we combine webinar, fireside chat, and panel moderation. So we are already live on Facebook. So if you see there are two videos. The first one was like a kind of rehearsal. Please do not it has already ended. There is a second one that's live right now. If you see it on Facebook, please share it so that more people can participate. At the same time, you can post your social media content or comment on one good takeaway that you have today. If you have a question for any of the panelists, please post it in the Q&A chat box. Q&A chat box. Okay, if you have a question, post it there. If you just want to share comments or you want to give encouragement to any of the speakers, just use the chat box. You can connect with all our panelists on LinkedIn. They are easy to find. I strongly advise you to use desktop to watch this webinar because if you're using mobile phone, you'll be missing out on a very interesting game that we're going to play later on. So now we shall begin. Today we're going to cover quite a lot of things. So do not worry if you cannot catch a lot of things that's being discussed. It will be stored on Google Classroom, which I will give you the access code after this seminar is over. We will be talking about all the different tech tools and even simply the technology itself and some of the best practices of different virtual business events and meetings. I won't be talking everything on my own. I'll be asking some of our panelists different questions. So we will jump from topic to topic and sometimes we'll revisit different topics. I will also be touching 5 of the good virtual team building or icebreaker techniques. So it's not just about using tech, but being creative in using tech itself. I will briefly talk about challenges of managing virtual meetings. And of course, I will end off with always marketing of virtual activities. That takes marketing to a whole new level. So just as an overview, today we have many people who work from home. We have many tools. So I'm going to share to you 4 different groups of tools that you need to be effective working from home. Number 1, you need to have communication sets of tools. Right? It's very important to connect with people, whether it's one-to-one or one-to-many or many-to-many. Next, you have to have some kind of organization of your documentation, sharing of notes, calendar, tasks, and so on. And you have to exchange information with fellow employees, fellow staff in the same company. So just make sure that you have all this security set in. And of course, other tools like screen capture, annotation, sticky notes. All these are stuff that you need to have to work from home effectively. So what is a virtual event, everyone? So feel free to put in the comments on the right side, which is the chat. How many virtual events did you attend ever since COVID circuit breaker has started or your country's lockdown has started? I don't assume we only have people from Singapore, but I think we have people from all over the world, maybe Cambodia, maybe Thailand, maybe Malaysia. I know that a lot of you are watching in. So virtual event is really a meeting where everybody is connected in a virtual environment. You don't have to fly. Anytime, anywhere, you can connect. Less disruption to the schedule and in office. Now, we always think that this is luxury, but we seldom do that. All right. Once in a while, we just have a teleconference call. So what do you really need? You need internet, you need audio, you need good webcam, especially audio. You need projector in a kind of big group. So to talk a little bit more about audio, I have a good friend today from Sennheiser. His name is Alex Lim. All right. So Alex is the head of marketing for Sennheiser. He oversees all aspects of marketing, and I think he will be the best person to ask what is the requirement of audio and how do you set up video conferencing. So without further ado, let me hand the mic over to Alex, and I will mute the mic. Alex, all yours.
Thank you, Andrew Chow. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys are well and safe at home. Same goes for me. I've been staying at home for the past 1 month. I know it's not easy for everybody, so hope you guys stay strong. So a very quick introduction about myself. I'm Alex Lim. I'm in 13 years in a German company. The first 10 years was in Adidas, and then the current 3 years is in Sennheiser Asia. We look after mainly Southeast Asia markets and all the development emerging markets as well. And as what Andrew has mentioned, I look after the full spectrum for marketing, from the trade to the brand communication to the media to the digital platforms. So really thanks again, Andrew, for inviting me here to share a little bit. I guess that most probably the first question is the preparation before a conference call. I think there are a lot of aspects to this portion. There are lightings, there are audio, there's good Wi-Fi, there's a good headphones and microphones. There is a nice attire, dress appropriately for your conference call. A virtual background as well. I do see some comments that it looks a bit funny with your image being cut out. Try to accommodate to the image behind. Well, it is true. Of course, I believe that once the resolution gets better from Zoom or from whichever platform you're using, it will get sharper day by day. Of course, not everyone has a beautiful house or luxury like some of you. So I think a very neat background is very important. The settings, even to stand by a spare laptop in case anything happen, to clean your browser, to prepare notes in front of you. Some of you might need some pointers. I think that is most probably a very important part to prepare before a conference call. And maybe I would like to also continue to say that why I think in a conference call or webinars or session like this, sound quality is very, very important. Maybe a very simple explanation or illustration saying that why video versus sound, which is more important. So I would say that you might watch a video which is very perfect in the whole outlook, but then the sound is bad. So example, you have a perfect feature right now of me, but then when you hear me talking, you'll be hello, oh, hey, up, hit, ho. So you don't get the full message out of it, but you get a perfect video. However, if you have a distorted video, maybe let me try moving myself away from the screen. But you can still hear me very well. You still get the content outright very, very, very importantly. I think the message sent across is still very important. A meeting without audio is most probably not a meeting after all. Of course, best if you can have both video perfect and the sound perfect. So I would say that sound quality, sound audio is most probably one of the most important part of every conference call as well. So to be very sure as well, there are many ways of working from home effectively. We have many good headphones around in the world. Many brands, many good brands. Of course, I would most probably like to promote Sennheiser a little bit more. We have in-ears, we have over-ears headphones, we have around-ears, we have earbuds, we have wired headphones, we have wireless headphones as well. I myself prefer the wired one because wired one is most probably 100% connected. Sometimes Bluetooth, that might be a slight latency. But all in all, for our products, even if it's wireless, you will still get very good quality sound and audio as well. But of course, make sure that the headphones or the earphones that you got is the one with the mic. There are some without the mic as well, so just take note. For people who are more professional, more corporate, people who do a lot of trainings, like example, Andrew and many of you over here, you guys are professional trainers, or be it in terms of educational line, academic lines, or maybe even exercise yoga instructors, or even chefs, trying to whip up a dish or two during this pandemic period to let people know how to entertain yourself or how to keep yourself busy by cooking, by exercising, by learning. During this period, you might also want to look into portable mics, shotgun mics for your cameras, wireless mic or clip-on mic just on top of your body so that you can move around. So maybe I could share my screen. Andrew, can I share the screen, my screen, Andrew? Maybe you can allow me to share my screen.
Give me a minute.
Sure, no problem. So during this minute, I would like to also share maybe what are the work from home essentials as well, casually, not just the products. I think a good set of laptop will be good, because sometimes your laptop might be a little bit old and you have a lot of files being stored inside. So the memory being taken up might be far too difficult for us to actually be a bit more efficient. And then of course, what makes you comfortable, I think, is very important. A good a pair of keyboards, a good pair of headphones, a good set of monitor in front of you. Some people need one monitor, some people need two, some people need three. And also good furniture, a nice comfortable pair of chair, because you're going to be working from home. Last time back in office, you can go to get a coffee downstairs for a quick smoke break or coffee break. But right now, you most probably will be sitting here most of the time. Keep your table neat, a nice chair. Even in terms of environment, you might want to on the aircon or make it comfortable for you. So that is some little tips to work from home efficiently and essentially. So I just want to go a very quick outlook to share with you guys, if you guys can see my slide. So these are some work from home solutions from Sennheiser. We have many friends and family members who are working from home with our products. Just to show you a few more photos, this is a campaign that we led recently once the circuit breaker has started in Singapore. So circuit breaker is kind of like a partially lockdown, except for essential service. You can go out to buy food. So people have been working using our products, filming, giving trainings, etc. And then, of course, just to share with you guys as well, for professionals like you guys, there are many ways to also do recording presentations as well effectively. So just to let you guys know, you guys are on Zoom, so you guys might be featuring yourself on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, etc. So this is the thing that Sennheiser could also share with you in terms of presentation equipments. Over here, you will see we have our Access wireless digital presentation set. But of course, then you must have an interface, a Lightning audio interface that you have to buy on a third-party platform. And then with that whole system, you could go live very effectively. Of course, you can have your in-ear monitoring devices as well. For people who are doing music podcasting, like you're performing live to audiences, which we Sennheiser, we also have this campaign called "Don't Stop the Music." We feature ourselves almost every night. Artists from Sennheiser all around the world has this as well. So we have also music podcast laptop, which you want to do. Also mics available for you, like the MK4 XS1, E835, etc., together with a Lightning audio interface. Very quickly, also for people who like to do cooking or yoga, etc. For people who has multi cameras as well, this is also a streamer's feature. I believe most of you should have it as well. And then together with our lavalier set, which is the clip-on mic, etc., wireless, you can move around the whole environment that you're filming yourself, and then very effortless. You can also get very good audio and connected to your live streaming as well. So yeah, that's all from my side. I just welcome questions if you guys want to know more about Sennheiser as well. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Also to go onto our browser as well. It is Sennheiser.Singapore. So you'll see us. You have all the equipments over there, from the work from home solutions, which is our normal telecommuting, and also for professionals like trainers, musicians, chef, yoga instructors, to get the more proper boom mics or microphones together with the headphones to make your lessons and the sessions more effectively from home. So I'm looking forward to the Q&A at the end of this session. So guys, stay safe, stay healthy. Back to you, Andrew. Thank you so much for the
All right,
time.
thank you very much, Alex. This is really insightful. So let me go back to my own presentation. All right, this is the one. So what are the pros and cons of virtual events? Now, we're not just talking about a normal meeting or a normal kind of webinar. There are pros and cons. So of course, the pros will be no traveling costs, no hotel. You don't want to dress up. It's very inexpensive. It can be done anywhere. It brings people together. There's no loss of productivity. Now, I'm not sure whether that the last point is true, because everybody tell me that during this circuit breaker period, everyone is busier than normal. Now, the cons will be you will need to coordinate with different time zone of people. I think the level of understanding of the technicalities will also prevent people from getting the maximum out of participating fully. And also the internet speed for different offices and country will be different. And because you can't see the body language or the energy level in the room, it's very difficult for you to assess whether people have a buy-in or not. So there are a lot of distraction, and most of the time people will rather do webinar because the host can control the mic, whereas in a meeting sometimes people will always love to on the mic. And sometimes I've often have meeting where I hear what the wife is cooking behind at the kitchen, or two members of the family are actually quarreling bitterly behind. I can hear all these things sometimes, without knowing. So let me now get to the juice of it. What are some of the tech tools that we can use? Okay, so keen at the comments here. How many of you have been using Zoom every day? All right, and or you only use Zoom. All right, so you can comment you only use Zoom. Zoom has updated the encryption. I think by this month, you should download the latest version. I think it's much more secure than before. I'm very surprised to see Skype. I think Skype is still around. Uh, there was a news that somebody got married through Skype because even for the lockdown. If you use Skype, if you see use Skype, please comment, all right, so that we know who you are. Now, if anybody use Google Hangout, it was a very cool way to keep in touch with 50 people. It works on both Android and iOS. And I think there's Google Duo, where if you are a lecturer, if you have a G Suite account, you can always have that function on Google Classroom, and you can use it to talk directly with the students, and it actually replace Zoom. So everybody is going after Zoom, right? Because Zoom is making so much money. All right, FaceTime has always been the usual. I'm not sure whether how many of you use Join Me, but as a speaker and trainer, I have to use whatever platform that my clients are using, and this is one of them. Okay, go to meeting, go to webinar. It's also a very it has been around for a long time already. Okay, so Click Meeting is another one. Facebook Room allows you to talk to 50 people, and they don't even have to be your friend, in public and private chat rooms. Very soon you'll be available in the next few weeks to a lot of different one of you, so please be patient. And of course, I just had a confirmation with another client, but they use WebEx training. So WebEx has meetings and training. So the challenge here today is that a lot of people use meeting apps for training, but there are also training apps for training. So WebEx is one of the few who actually differentiate it. So the rest will conveniently call it webinar. So what are the security issues at stake here? So I'm not sure whether Naveen, my friend, has make it in, because he has problem coming in. So I think um, I would maybe skip this part, and I will come back to it again. All right, if he is online, I will be coming back to him, because this is a very important part to talk about security, cyber security issue, and how do you, simple things, how do you create a meaningful password that cannot be cracked, right? So what are the rest of the virtual meeting technology that we can use? Number one, now I want to share to you there are a lot of technology. So take for example Flourish. So I'm going to stop this one, and I'm going to share something from my Safari. Okay, so I'm going to share computer audio. Oops. Hello. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay, sorry, maybe I have shared. Just give me a minute. I'm sharing my desktop. Okay. Okay, so I think never mind. Let me just share back my presentation, and I will just move from there again.
Hey, Andrew, I'm back in. This is Naveen.
Oh, okay, just in time. So let me backtrack a bit. I'm going to invite Naveen to talk a few minutes about this topic, security and privacy uh, in in chat in virtual communication. So Naveen, I'm going to stop share the screen, and I'm going to give the stage time to you. Over to you, Naveen.
Okay. Hi. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, just by way of introduction, my name is Naveen Bhat. I've been working in the cybersecurity area for several years, and we've been offering cybersecurity solutions for enterprises all over the world. In my latest role, I'm doing something slightly different now, but we do virtual meetings now almost every day. In fact, even before COVID 19 lockdown started, we started doing virtual meetings because we were on a path to cut down our real estate costs. Started moving to virtual officing, office for the day concepts, very different from what it was. And then COVID hit. And as soon as COVID, impacted us, we started going virtual, and there was a regular question about security issues. So I want to highlight a couple of things on cybersecurity. Firstly, is cybersecurity as important in virtual meetings as it is for protecting enterprise networks? Surprisingly, the answer is no. We do not require to have the same level of security for virtual meetings. And the reason is fairly simple. It is because a lot of the meetings that happen are transactional in nature with voice transmission. There's not a whole lot of data that you can steal from this, and there's not a whole lot of identity theft that can happen. Okay, yeah, you can have somebody who's Zoom bomb or something like that. You're meeting, and there have been instances where some pornographic pictures have also been posted, but those are mere annoyances, not significant losses of data. What I would suggest is to classify your meetings. Um, Andrew suggested several different platforms: Zoom, WebEx, Skype, Microsoft Teams, Google Hangouts, Starleaf, GoToMeeting, Whereby, BlueJean. There's so many of them. But if these are casual meetings that require you to just set up a quick call to get everybody in sync, Zoom is by far the best. It's probably got the best audio, video, and stuff. But security is definitely the lowest. However, as you start getting into more important meetings where it's C-level meetings, etc., you should go to a more secure platform. So Cisco WebEx is definitely much more secure. Microsoft Teams is better, but they are heavier packages, right? It's not so easy to set up, and a lot of problems do occur. So the third thing that I would say is, in terms of cybersecurity, just ensure that if there is sensitive material, it's not just shared on screen all the time. And I'm talking confidential, sensitive material. Send that by email ahead of time and let people look at it on their own screens. Okay. That's one way of ensuring that even if somebody breaks in, you're not letting out corporate secrets. So those are some of the things that I just wanted to share. I'll be here for the rest of the call, and I'll be happy to take questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Naveen. And I will be continuing my presentation. So what I want to share to you, to all of you, is this software. I think you can all see my screen. If you are on the internet right now, you can go to flourish.studio. So this is an amazing data visualization and storytelling tool. So I'm going to just show you one uh, one application they do. They actually created a lot of data visualization for COVID. So if you look at my screen right now, all right, uh, there is a data as updated as 1st of May, the trajectory, the growth trajectory in cases and death. So you can see that USA is right on top, and this is the black line that represent the world. Iran is actually, it was pretty bad at the beginning for Middle East, but now it's actually below. So you can see as you scroll down, the impact, the breakdown or impact by country. So you can see that America is now, sorry, Americans, you are the new epicenter of COVID. One third, all right, you are impacting almost one third of the world, and Europe, of course, 60%, and Asia, surprisingly, is very little. So this is a wonderful tool for you to experience what is it like to use storytelling, all right, data storytelling to enhance your visual meetings itself. So of course, if you want an automated AI note taker, that is also very good. I think a lot of you have been using Cloud AI. Personally, for recording of face-to-face meeting, I will download this app called Otter, OTTER.ai. It's wonderful. I on the app, I can have a 2-person, 3-person, 4-person meeting, and the app will just record all our conversation by person itself, and its accuracy is, I would say, 80%, 85%. So it's awesome. It's wonderful. So do use some of the note taking, and you can even on the note taking besides video recording during meeting itself. Google Drive, it's something awesome. I just had a visioning session with one of the groups that I have, and we were all sharing about our version of mission, vision, core, all the core values, and so on. I open up one document of Google Doc, and everybody starts simultaneously keying in, and it's live. Everyone can see what each other are doing. So it's awesome. Slack, it's a virtual work group system where it's much better than WhatsApp, where you can file things, you can refer to things, you can have document, you can have side conversation, you can have group announcement. So try to use this if you're an SME and you don't want to invest in a bigger system like Microsoft Teams and so on. Yammer is a very, very popular social networking tool. We call it enterprise social network tool that most people are already been using. So it's no stranger to a lot of people. Just tighten the use of it. I want to focus on TikTok. TikTok has the Zoom function as well as the Slack function together. So it's modeled by Alibaba, and you'll be imagining that it's all in Chinese, right? But when you download TikTok, you will find that it is so user friendly, and it is actually being used by a lot of people. It has just been announced 2 years ago. So I am on one of the network where I actually have a project with a friend that has another project with China itself. So it's awesome. Evernote for yourself personally, when you come across many information today, we are all bombarded by different information. You need Evernote to keep track and to share. So what are some of the live streaming tools? My favorite is this StreamYard. I want to mention StreamYard because StreamYard enables you to stream in 5 different locations. If you have a subscribe edition, it allows you to go to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn all together, and people don't even have to log on to a special place where they just give a URL link and they can go in and you can have 2 guests. You can see that actually you can actually decide on how you want to place. So you are having an on-the-fly production house where you can even have comments and so on. So it's an awesome tool. I really encourage all of you to do it. All right. So actually, I'm going to show you a clip by my good friend Daniel. So Nick has just come in. Thank you very much, Nick. So this is what, let me see. Can I just share? Oh, I have to stop sharing the other one. Give me a minute. Okay, let's see how.
Hi, this is Daniel Cervantes. So I want to talk a bit on StreamYard. And StreamYard is this streaming solution that is actually really easy to use. And the reason I like it is because all you need to do is send a URL, a link to your your guest, and your guest can actually log on using Chrome and Firefox, which is actually majority of the browser. So they might have issue with Safari, but just get them to download Chrome. And it's so easy to use because you can actually do a couple of things like screen share. Everyone can do screen sharing. It streams to for the pro version, it streams to two platforms. It also have like offline cloud recording. Essentially, it will record the thing up to 7 days. So you can keep your video and you do not need to download the video back from Facebook or YouTube after you stream. And it also supports RMTP streaming because that is something that you can actually plug into like your OBS to stream to other places or use multiple sources like Restream.io. So the price is also really affordable because it's about the premium is you pay 20 USD if you pay for a year per month. So it's 20 USD per month for a year, which is amazing. If you want to pay every month, it's 25 USD. So that is something that I really love and I find really helpful in terms of my daily stream. I don't have to think about setting up. Everything can be fairly automated. Guests come in and out. I can do stuff like do presentation. I can share screen. I can add logos. I can change colors. I can do a lot of things. Like so, see the StreamYard logo. If the premium version, I will actually remove the logo, so I can do that basically. But you can, and I can pretty much like display names, hide my name, yeah, and put in banners. So let's say for example, I put a ticker. Please ask question, and all these are compartmentalized. They're in the individual folder, so it's really really simple to use. So you can have multiple teams from multiple show, which allows you to do that. I would suggest when you use, there are a few other options. If you do not like StreamYard, BeLive is one of them. BeLive, I didn't quite like it because it consumes a lot of energy, so rather processing power. And so you keep hearing the fan going on and it becomes really slow and laggy. Whereas in terms of StreamYard, it's one of the lightest one out there. So if you're not conducting meetings, let's say you are just doing webinars and you're bringing guests, if you're bringing one guest, it's okay. You can try to use Facebook. I think Facebook just recently reactivated their streaming solution to bring in one guest. But if you have more than two guests, if you don't have a panel, StreamYard is definitely my recommended choice. Right? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Daniel is now busy with his. Oops. Sorry. So, um, I was on mute. So, event is actually something that you can use to organize a very special customized event. I'm not used it before, but if you want to create a different type of event, you might want to download this uh, event and go to their site. I must say that this presentation itself will be available on a platform which I will show you the access code later on. So please bear with us that we will be sharing all this with you. So Run the World is another app that's recommended by another friend of mine. So you can take a look at it. I've not tried it, but I try to make this like a resource for everybody. This is again another way of streaming. It's more for a bigger market. It's a TV style kind of production. Same as this is just for Keynote, Speakers Engage. It's an event management platform that does a lot of things, even does sponsorship and community kind of curation. So of course the price is not cheap. Same for Wordcast and so on. So very quickly now, I go on to another technology, the virtual and the augmented reality. So before I ask my expert friend to come and address us, I just want to clear some definition. Virtual and augmented reality are technologies that blurs the boundary between the real and the digital world, and sometimes even to remove or replace it. So what is the difference between VR and AR? I always get this question. So if you look at the left, VR is really completely excluded from the real world. You're in the virtual world. It's not real, but it's immersive. It's 360. You have to use a device to enjoy it, and you got the sense of feeling that you're in somewhere else. Whereas AR is a bit different. AR alters your perception of what most of the visual in real life is. So and it requires location sometimes. It can be realized on your smartphone, and it's totally good for navigation devices. So the Wonder Pokemon is actually very popular. So VR and AR, I will not like to talk a lot more about this, but this is exactly how a VR glasses work. It actually project two image to your eye, and then your brain fuse them together, right? So without further ado, uh, I want to invite Nick Tan, Managing Director of AP Media, all right, to share to us some of the things that he is doing, and how do you use VR for virtual showroom and museum. So, Nick, are you around? I'm going to give this to you. Nick, it's your turn.
Yes, thank you. Hi, guys. So anyway, I will just start by probably sharing a short little video clip of what this is about. And amidst these COVID times, what does it really mean? But this is just more like a report card that I will share with you guys so that, just to give an idea. Okay, so believe y'all can see my screen. So I'll just stop share there. So this is just bits of different things that has been recently happening. And just to give a bit of background, we actually are a integrated marketing agency that does a lot of video content and also immersive tech. And like what Andrew has put across, we have been doing this virtual environment thing for quite a while actually now. And it's not, to us, it's not a technology, it's just another media platform or media way of doing things. So I do have some slides to just share. I'll just keep it simple and to just explain what happened right now. So as okay, so I'm going to full screen this thing. All right. So actually, to be honest, this period of time has really made a lot of conferences and exhibition quite haywire. But I also know that the silver lining is that it gives people more time to regroup this whole thing. And as such, actually this whole situation has give birth to a lot of various ways of doing things. So therefore, I just want to share some of the possible ways of this can be done. So these are earlier on in March where companies are forced to look into embracing digital and being more agile in the practices and then being more remote. I have friends who tell me that, hey, I don't really know how we can really, pull this off, when we are working entirely from home, when for the last 10 years we have been doing it on site, not online. So that's the key challenges. But we also have seen, like, first new museums like in France and in parts of Europe, they adopted virtual tour. You also have seen statistics from TV ratings that's all on the digital social space. And of course, the museum that we did were all in highlights. And this is already an example of, like, I feel that it's an example of how digital media will stay and will transform how we do see things. And of course, when I say digital media, in this case, will be virtual environment and stuff like that. So what have we done? So actually, this has been, I just picked some case studies since these are all the recent ones. And what can be done? What has been done are just examples of what can be done. So example here will be the interactive video where you've seen this on Netflix. It's already been done. We did for Singapore Airlines back then in 2019, converting a game show into 360 and stuff like that. And of course, a virtual museum. So this is the virtual museum that was recently featured in the news, Channel 8. And you guys can actually go to NHB and look for this Old New World. What makes this special is that it actually integrates all the various medium. So a lot of people thought that, oh, virtual 360 is just an environment. Well, you're not wrong. It's an environment that bring you in, but there's no value in an environment. It's the same thing. Don't think of it as 360. So in fact, I just had a discussion yesterday, like, someone was asking, but we have done this some years ago. It doesn't really have any traction. So I asked them, how did they use it? And the conclusion always comes to the same thing. They just do it as a space. It's the same thing. If I create a showroom for you, a physical showroom, if it's just a showroom, you will have no idea and you will have no clue what it is, and you probably will not go in. But what happens when I created a space? I have service, right? I have nice display. I have interactivity. I'm talking about on location showroom, okay? You start to get more traction, right? It's the same thing as in an exhibition space. So you do a conference, you build a booth, you have people, you have interactivity, right? So it's the same. So in a virtual world, it has no different because we are still dealing with the same set of people, and people in this case are people like us. We are all social people. We want to be engaged. We want to have storytelling. So therefore, this is really quite crucial to know. Of course, another way of doing content, which I think has been pretty trending this period of time, will be the interactive video. This is a project that we did as a pilot project that we did last year, December, with MediaCorp, where we make a TV drama series with a selection. Again, in the virtual space, you want to be able to have a sense of choice, right? You do not want to just be feeded. So to be honest, this period of time give birth to various things that are, I wouldn't say new, but I guess old technology used in a new way. Similar to the museum, similar to this, these are not new. But I guess at this point of time, right, it's really up to all of you guys, including us, to think about how can we make this whole thing more engaging in the virtual space rather than just creating a virtual space for the sake of it. So that I feel that is really quite crucial at this stage. Of course, when museums open, locations open, conferences open, people will start to engage into, like, how you can leverage on digital content and virtual content and you combine into one. When I had discussions with different various performing art industry, be it fashion, be it theater, and you can start to see that there is a major shift and consideration into how I can include digital, virtual, interactive workspace into my works, into my physical work. And when I asked them, moving forward, will they carry on this after the COVID open, after the circuit breaker is over? I would say 90% of the response will be, yeah, definitely we have to look into this as part of our showcase. So it becomes a norm now. So I'm not actually sharing things that you guys already have not heard of of this. This is something that is already a common knowledge right now. But the question is, how can we do some of these things, which I'll come to in a while. This is another one that has a lot of educational value, and it has a lot of traction online simply because this is actually an existing TV game show made into a 360 environment where it's a treasure hunt. So this becomes interesting because we just up the game. We just add this whole interactivity and this whole scene. So again, guys, it's the content, it's the contextual. And because the context is relevant to the audience, in this case, kids, and when they see this online, they get excited because this is something that they can relate to. So for those of you who have kids, you understand what I mean, because they have visual reference and they get related. Actually, adults are the same. So the moment you have something of relevance, of relatability, then you put it on the space, on the virtual space online without downloading an app, it becomes useful. So what can we look into right now? I guess a lot of us already are looking, like in this case, I have to applaud Andrew for sharing quite a lot of new tools which I've not heard before, and which are pretty cool. And also doing this kind of conferences on a regular basis. So these are already kind of like a norm, over the last 1 month. You think about it, it's not common until this period and until the circuit breaker. But then again, if you notice, most people like us right now, although I can't really see most of your face, but I can feel that you are already accustomed to this whole webinar, because like myself, I've been to many webinars by now, and that is strange. I think I've been to more webinars in this 1 month than I've been to webinars, right, in actually my lifetime per se. So it's quite interesting to see that kind of numbers and statistics jumping. So of course, I will be talking about virtual. So virtual exhibition is definitely one of the very possible solution where it's actually entirely virtual space where integrated, is web-based, by the way. First criteria, it has to be web-based. Second, it can be on a public server. Third, I could integrate with breakout rooms for webinars, fireside chat, live show. I could also do pre-recorded content. In fact, I could also integrate live chat. For those who are in the IT space, it's not new. It's nothing new, and there's many type of open source that you can integrate. But again, from a producer standpoint, from a content standpoint, from a storytelling perspective, I would see this as a highly likely possibility that can be explored. So, in fact, we are already planning one of the festival. And to give you an example, so let's say you have a digital virtual festival, whateverfestival.com. You have a hello page, you have a countdown ticker. The moment the date launch, you have a launch. The launch is done, if the circuit breaker is over, you are done in the studio setting where it's like a TV program. It's like you're watching, say, ESPN, or you're watching, say, the news network, that kind of things. The same thing where you have a host and you have multiple, and then you can, break out into things. This launch. So this could be launched with anyone. After this launch, you can have a whole list of schedule in the website, and you can have different pages with different breakout rooms on pre-recorded seminars, webinars, pre-recorded tours, host-driven, non-host-driven, demonstration, showcase, live shows, etc. So this, I would say, I haven't really seen festivals at this level yet that's all integrated, but if all goes well, you guys will be seeing something soon in the next 2 months or so. So I would say that this could be another area that I would see it expanding quite a lot, okay? So when we talk about live stream content, so a lot of people thought like, okay, live stream content means Zoom. Actually, no. Live stream content actually means like, okay, on my right, you can see, this is a recent webinar that I attended. It's actually by CNBC events team. So they have the same circuit breaker, everybody's work from home. And you can see that there's a host, there is different speakers, and they toggle in and out like a TV program. But this whole entire thing sits on a website. And the website is obviously a CNBC website, right? It's done just like a traditional TV program, but now entirely digital. Of course, without the circuit breaker, you could do it this way, where the host and the subject matter expert could be actually on location. So again, these are all content, but these are all part of this, whether it's doing a launch, doing a seminar or demonstration for that matter. And when it comes to it being in a 360 environment, it's actually no difference from doing it from like a virtual exhibition of a web portal. The only difference is in 360. That's it. That's the only key difference. And why do you want to do it in 360? I guess it's just more engaging. We could do a lot more things. Just to show you an example of how you could actually integrate. This is an online capture from my browser. I can have someone talking, in this case here, and oops, sorry. Oh, you're supposed to hear the sound, but so okay. Welcome to Manila, we're located on Carrera Lava, and in the 17th century past, where expert perfumers only create all natural, perfumes, and ecological cosmetics. I can pull out things, images, videos. I can have him talking. I can bring in myself to another part of the environment. The guy will appear there. He can talk to me. Peiru is the first perfume in history. They are a distillation of aromatic herbs in vegetable oils. This also gives birth to a lot of things, like I could do a e-commerce, which we previously did in Shanghai 2 years ago, where you can actually have a 360 link to a virtual commerce. You can have a curated journey. Someone is talking to you. So this is, the other one is, of course, so let's talk about this first. This gives birth to many things that you can consider already, where it's actually a 360 environment. This is all done in stills. And obviously, right, when this is, being created, this is actually one of the ways that people can actually showcase this whole thing. And when you do a 360 environment, when you add in a video element to this whole thing, it's like, there's a content, someone is trying to follow you, someone trying to lead you while you look around in the environment in your own time. So there is an element of somewhat guided tour, guided content, but still you have your own freedom of choice to move around. And yet you can link to an e-commerce platform. So this opens up the door to a lot of possibilities, just this alone. And this is nothing new, by the way. We have done something like this like maybe 4 years ago. But again, the application matters. So, of course, the recent project that was being showcased was the Old New World. It's actually a National Museum, physical museum that was closed after showcasing, and then we made it entirely digital. So this was conceived and discussed since last year. And again, what is interesting is that although it's on a web portal, I can actually choose the journey that I want, or I can listen to the curator's journey, of which either way, it doesn't really matter, because I could...
And what was Singapore? This map, produced more than 400 years ago,
so it's a curated journey.
Singapore by its older name, Singapura, and located at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula. Does this reflect more of what people knew Wikipedia at this time? This Quran's bag and clue found there.
Yeah, so this is just an example of an exhibition that you could actually go to more than this. So earlier on, what you saw was simply just on the perspective of one. You could go to two, you can go to your own. In this environment, you get to do interactivity. You get to do your own journey with no one interrupting you, but there will still be soundscape. There will still be multimedia visual elements within the same environment online when you are going through this. This adds a lot of interest. Okay, so when you do a virtual conference or any form of digital conference, you need to have three elements. One element will be the content element, the information bit. Two element, entertainment value. The third element, it has to be somewhat educational. So if I have all this content in one space with these 3 points met, of course, it must be online. It becomes a lot more engaging, and this will make it more successful, especially when you do your marketing. So don't forget the element of marketing, which will come to that next time in another session. But today, I will just be purely talking on how we could do virtual conferences feasible and possibility right now. And this is just another example of a simple showcase that was done 10 years ago, but we redid it just for the fun of it, just to redo it on today's current web browser platform and link it back into storylines. And this is just done in like maybe half a day. So it's quickly done because we previously had shot this, and you could link it to news. I could link it to anything I want if I want to. And I could also link it to e-commerce eventually if I want to, where I can bring up the object in a 3D format. Like in this case, I could select this guy and bring it into a 360 version or 3D version of this character and load the product out. So you can start to see that this is all done entirely online. Last case study is I just record this through my phone, and this was done previously. Again, there is a learning component, and it's done in a very interesting manner. So it's a website. You can see from the screen, it's like a website. I can scroll it. When I scroll it, I want to explore this whole environment and this whole village, and I learn about the community, the school of sustainability, right? And then it brings me to the environment. So start exploring. So you notice how easy and how smooth the whole transition is. Obviously, the component is not so straightforward, but I'm just sharing you possibilities. And there's actually, you notice there's a subtitle below. There's actually sound, but right now the sound is being removed for the purpose of this conference. Yeah, so there's actual sound. In the background, you actually hear someone talking to you about this island, about this whole village, and how sustainability matters. And then you see this guy standing by the doorway. You click on it. I will bring you to a video content. He'll be sharing his story. So after he shares his story, okay, in this case, you attend, and then you listen to his story, and then you can answer questions, as you can see here, ready to answer questions. And this video is obviously hosted on YouTube. Yeah, so in this case, this is another example of how a project actually combines, various elements. They have the 360 environment, there is the storytelling aspect, and there is the educational learning aspect. So I guess right now, these are some of the possible ways that you can already see feasible. And so I would just want to bring a simple case study on how this could then be all integrated into a virtual environment. So earlier on, we have this, we have the museum, right? We have also the e-commerce portion where it's with a video host, okay? So imagine conferences now having to be made into a 3D virtual conference. So this entire 3D virtual environment where I log in, I can log in through a pass or something. And in this environment, I could actually have breakout spaces. I could have, presentation view. I could have, someone presenting in live stream. I could have booth. I could have networking sessions, etc. And this already is possible. And you could also link to live webinar, live launch, pre-recorded content, all in one. So this actually alleviates a conference into a virtual environment that you probably cannot do on a physical environment. What are some of the things that people can't really do in a physical environment? Number one, you can't really reach to the right people sometimes, most of the time in actual fact. And sometimes if you miss the session, you miss it altogether. But on a virtual conference, you can actually revisit that unless the host decided not to, right? So number two, on a physical environment, you need to walk at a long distance, and sometimes you might miss this and miss that. Again, this opens more possibility. You can have more flexibility, and instead of just a venue of say 1,000 people, now I can extend it to 10,000 example. I'm just saying, because there's a scalability element. And again, let's say again after circuit breaker, what happens to this whole space? This could be a virtual environment that is enhanced on top of a current exhibition that can bring a lot of value to the audience, because the audience, after going through the physical environment networking, they can go back to the virtual environment and remember themselves. Oh yeah, I remember seeing this. I can get connected. I can actually get connected on the spot. Like contextually, I can associate myself there. So this has a value in that sense again. So I feel that the informational value is really important. The contextual value is important. Of course, the entertainment or the educational value, right, is also a very key point in this case. Then comes possible of interactive videos. So, okay, I see there's a chat. Okay. Then comes possible of interactive video. So interactive videos are basically just environments that you can use. You can have selection for training or for content purposes. So again, these are some of the possible ways you could do in today's time of COVID, multicam live stream. And yeah, that's all we have. That's all I have to share with you guys in this short time span. And hope you guys, learn something in this very short time. Yeah, thank you. This is right now for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Nick. we shall come back to you for the Q&A a bit later on. So now allow me to carry on with this presentation. So we have heard from Nick, and now we want to talk about virtual assistant or chatbots. Are they really the same? Have you ever tried talking to a machine right now, especially in this time of circuit breaker where you go to CPF, you go to IRAS, no one is there, and you need to go to the website and talk to somebody who possibly is a machine, and maybe there's somebody behind it, but are they really effective? Are they really humanized to interact with human being on a intelligence conversational level? The answer is yes and no. There are, of course, development and there's a limitation. So I'm not the expert in conversational AI. I just be able to give a basic intro. A lot of these chatbots um, software that you have are level 1 communication. They just are basically a FAQ manager. So they think of all the possible questions and they come up with set answers. There's no context, there's no conversation. Uh, One level higher, yes, there's conversation. So they remember the last thing that you say, and they try to make a meaningful conversation out of it. The level 3 is really the real communication where whatever you have said before is kept in a database, is kept in a data set where the machine has certain memory. So this is the part where it become very interesting, that when you go to stage 4, there is a lot of interaction. The chatbot become more intuitive. They're able to give recommendation based on your past habits and your conversational uh, ability. So to help us to understand that, I'm going to invite my good friend and client, Peiru. She's an amazing woman. Uh, she used to be a bridal studio, successful business, and now she's into a startup. And this is about she's 1 and 2 years now on it. So please remember, if you like any of our participants, please give some encouragement in the chat. And also, if you have questions for our panelists, please do so. We will try to answer you. So, Peiru, it's all yours.
Thank you. Okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone. So I would say real life examples of how COVID has brought about changes, in the operations of many of our clients. I think it's interesting. People have been sharing that people. Who is helping you drive digital transformation within your organization, right? Is it the CTO? Is it your CEO? And now it's COVID. So I think, besides, the not being able to physically go to the office, right? I think there are many things that I would like you to challenge yourself to think about your communications with your clients, not just internal communications, but also external communications. So what do I mean by that? Yeah, so let me go through some of the preparations over here. Can I just check if you all can see my screen right now? Are you looking at the screen, or is everything okay? Yes. Okay, great. So let me just talk through some of the communications that you have with your clients. Yeah, I mean, let's not talk about whether you want to automate it or not automate it, right? So number one, think about, are your communications designed for flexibility and scale, right? So what do I mean by that? Okay, give me a moment. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? You want to think about, number one, are your people or yourself, right? Are you prepared to service your clients without having to be in person with them, right? So we have clients who they run multi-million call centers, right? They have very expensive systems, but then when they can't go to work, and everyone needs to stay at home, then suddenly their multi-million system is not able to serve them anymore, right? So how are you, putting your people together, your technology, to be able to deliver service to your clients without having a disruption in that? What if, you have operations where you have face-to-face kiosks, or you have face-to-face office operations, but then when you can't do that, what else can you do? So I think this is a very a 360 consideration across people, process, and technology. I think it's very important for us to think about that. Are your people ready to serve clients, or to take on sales meetings, or to do customer servicing without the need to be in person? Are your processes in place, right? Are the systems in place? Are they able to access the CRMs? Are they able to access all the information? And last but not least, right, what do you have in place to continue all this and to support this communication? I think without going too much in detail, I would identify 3 areas for you to really look at, right? Number 1, what are your current communication channels, right? Are you supporting them via text, via phone call, social media, or even live chat? Why do I say so? Every single channel has its own cost of servicing, right? For example, phone is well known to be the most expensive, right? It's, IBM estimates it to be anywhere between $10 to $20. So if you really don't like a company, what do? Just keep calling them, right? So what about social media? What about emails? What about live chat? What about texting, right? So what are the channels that you are currently using, and how much does it cost for you to service them? What about letters? What about any other channels that you would like to kind of phase out over time? So let's look at this one, right? Are your communications designed for flexibility and scale? So look at this one, right? This is an example of what it is today, and what do you think it could be next year and the year after? So there are some very common communication channels over here. I have them as calls, right? I have them as emails. Some still use letters. You have social media, right? And perhaps others as well. Maybe currently you don't yet have live chat, or maybe chatbots to support your operations. But how do you plan to scale up your communications and your costing as your revenue or your support volume goes up, right? So this is where you can see the trend of what things are now versus 1 year later versus 2 years later. You all would want to plan for business expansion, but as your revenue expands, or as your business expense, you don't want your costs to expand together, right? And you do see that in the future, maybe millennials, they prefer to text, or even, baby boomers or Gen Y, Gen Xers, right? A lot of them also want 24/7 support. So how do you then plan strategically how your mix of communications will be? Yeah. So these are some of the communication channels that you can see over here. We are not just talking about external communications where you talk about WhatsApp, Line, Facebook Messenger. You're also talking about internal communication, right? Like internally, we need to serve our internal customers, like HR needs to serve all the employees in the organization, right? Even IT help desk as well. These are huge operations that are run, right? You can have them, your virtual assistants, or have your live chat service on Microsoft Teams, WebEx, right? You can have them on Slack or any other channels like Facebook Workplace. Right, as I was sharing earlier, right, there was a research that shows that the cost of a live agent can be super high. And what about a virtual agent, or even like live chat, right? When you're on the phone, there's so much you can do. One person can only take one phone call. But if a same person is doing live chat, this same person can take anywhere between 2 to 3, or sometimes even 4 to 5 chats at one go. So when you talk about agent productivity, there you go. Same person, but you increase the productivity by anywhere between 200 to 500%. Right? How does that sound? Next, we talked about being location flexible, right? Like in Malaysia, they have this movement control, MCO. In Singapore, we have a circuit breaker. Suddenly, every day, your BAU, right, your business as usual, just comes to a halt. and suddenly people can't go to office. They need to use VPN to dial into their internal systems, and suddenly things just don't work anymore, right? So are these the kind of limitations that you have, especially on the enterprise space, right? For some of you, you might have your systems on premises, some of them you have it on cloud. So, are you ready to switch or be able to switch modes just like that, right? So that you are no longer afraid of, what is PM gonna say, right? Am I gonna be able to work, right? If PM says we continue or we don't continue. So I think these are things that caught a lot of large enterprises by surprise suddenly. Next, right, you think about your knowledge and process documentation well done, right? What I mean is that do you have a conscious process in place to document things down so that, number one, when people can't work or they have to split teams, do they then know how to take over each other's work? And when you want to work on AI, when you want to work on automation, right, it leaves no room for ambiguity. Everything needs to be well documented. Everything needs to have a step-by-step guide. If it's not documented, it doesn't exist, right? So do you have a conscious process right now to look at your data, be it your emails, your live chat, all your other product listings, right? Are they very carefully documented, or are they just perhaps shoved one side in Google Drive or in SharePoint, so much so that when you need to find something, it's very hard to find, right? So these are all very important things to help you be able to scale this up, right? When you scale up further, then let's think about automation. When we talk about automation, we don't just talk about, say, chatbots or virtual assistants. There are many different grades of what goes in between. Yes, maybe you only do see this little chat widget over there, but a well-done one and one that's not well done, it looks similar at the front, but it's actually super different behind. And before you go into whether I like it, I hate it, or I love it because it's 24/7 or what, let me share with you two fundamental differences between what it is. Okay, number one, right? What's the difference between a chatbot and an AI conversation agent? Right, a chatbot, let us define it well over here. Something that's menu driven, right? You don't really need to enter any free text because most of the time you wouldn't understand. It just gives you options. You click, and you get it done, right? So, many times we don't want to over encumber the whole process by saying that, oh, I need the latest and most funky AI, right? If it's not required to solve your problem, then don't do it, right? Menu driven, if it's button clicks, if it's 100% reliable, 100% correct, it's always accurate. If it solves the job, why not, right? In certain use cases, having a full menu wouldn't be feasible because of the scope. There's just too much to do that. Then we talk about further scaling it up and looking at having it being natural language driven, right? When you have AI, when you do have a large amount of data that's well labeled, that you can put in as training data, then let's look at something that's called an AI conversation agent, right? It's not deterministic. It's not say if you see this means it's this. It's not 100%, but it gives you much more scale given the amount of data that you have, right? So what I'm trying to say is that neither one is necessarily better than the other. It depends on, number one, is your use case clear, right? Do you have data? And are you very, very clear what needs to be done one step after another, right? So do you have the manpower? Do you have the know-how to maintain such a system and to train it? Because if you do start today, no matter what, when your competitors want to start and they want to follow, they are easily 12 to 18 months behind if you start an AI system. But if you just want to solve problems today, go for the menu-driven one, at least get started, get something going. It's 100%. And from there, you see how people react to what you have and you start going ahead with that. Yeah. I think before I end, I would like to, I think Andrew asked me to share a little bit about Microsoft Teams, which my team use. We use it daily inside out. And yeah, your virtual assistant can very well live in Microsoft Teams as well. So let me show you how it is. So over here, this is what mine look like. I have many different teams and groups over here on the left that you can see, right? A lot of our clients are on there as well. We bring our clients on board that we do communication. So you can see that it's very, very much like Slack, but more of an enterprise version where we use that for calls and we use that for having our daily huddles and meetings. And this is a very common tool that we use right now, which is in line with Microsoft Stream. So what we do is that when we have meetings, then we will record the meeting. Of course, I know Zoom we can record as well as a file, but this one, because we use Microsoft Teams, it's very nicely embedded inside. So anytime we want, we just go into the whole communications channel, we click on it and we can review the meeting, right? And it's super useful. And that's where we also use certain transcription tools if you need, like Author.ai or Descript to do the transcription so that you can easily take minutes. So I think these are super useful tools that we find that it helps a lot, especially when you deal with a lot of collaborative work and Excels or Word documents where you have a version control issues if too many people are working on it at the same time. I think that's where Microsoft Teams very nicely put it inside. If you're on the Microsoft suite where you use PowerPoint, you use Excel, you use Word a lot, I think this is a super useful tool that you can use. Yes, so I think I've come to the end of my short sharing, and back to Andrew.
Wow, thank you very much, Peiru. As usual, this is very insightful, and thanks for showing us what really AI in chatbots can do. I should say virtual assistant because it is such a much higher version than normal chatbots that you see. So let's continue my presentation and look for this. Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk about several different tools, and then we're going to play a game because I think it is time that we practice what we have seen and we can be collaborative and we can put a bit of gamification. So Peiru just did a great job talking about Teams, so I'll not talk about it. You can also use G Suite. I strongly encourage everyone to sign up G Suite, and Google Classroom is actually not even part of the you don't even have to sign up G Suite to have it. It's actually free. You can find out. So all you need to do is to go to your Google account, and you will find these 9 dots, and you'll find more than 9 apps inside. Just find the one that you need. So this is again providing analytics for a meeting or a bigger conference. And by the way, just now Nick mentioned about AR and VR application of events. I always imagine one day that there'll be no conference, it's just exhibition, and the conference is always done on the virtual level where there's a lot of interaction with the speakers and audience all over the world. And of course, in training, I'm a trainer. I want to have a classroom training while at the same time I engage with 700 people out there in the virtual world. That will be the perfect scenario. So these are some of the things that a very niche event where you are allocated tables or networking, all right, based on a certain preference. I've not used this before, but sounds like a branded app where you can actually use it to customize your own event. Little app which is very popular in the MICE industry before COVID comes along. So same with Ada. All right, and now this is my favorite part. This is my part. Google Classroom. So please remember, if you want this deck and all the research that I have done to create this topic and the presenter's topic, please go to Google Classroom and key in this code. You may want to take a screenshot or write them down, code 7256PBY. Go to Google Classroom, join a class, and key in this code itself. You will be able to access all the links that I have research just to compile this. Actually, you'll find much more than this deck itself. So I'm sure all of you have tried Mentimedia where you crowdsource different inputs from all over the world and it forms a kind of a word cloud. You can do survey, you can do you can do basically a lot of different engagement online, but such are just tools that people use. So I I often hear people conducting quiz where they add a bit of gamification, and there's even the Quizzy and Kahoot that you are used to. I think Quizzy, you can take your time and you'll be still in a competition. You can do live, and it is good for induction, good for e-learning, and it's basically an enterprise uh, level app. But a lot of kids in the states are using it for the school itself. So are we going to play a game? All right, we can play a game. So I'm going to stop share right now. I am going to do this. Okay, I'm going to stop share, and I'm going to play a real game. Let's play a real game. Just give me a minute. Okay, can you see my screen right now? Everyone? Okay. So can you go to your mobile phone and key in this joinmyquiz.com and enter the code 264055. We are going to compete among the 54 of us now online on 10 questions, 10 quiz on COVID. So if you use your mobile phone, go to your Safari, your Firefox, your Chrome, key in joinmyquiz.com. Okay, joinmyquiz.com and key in the class code 264055. If you need to sign in, just use your Google account. All right, I will wait for the players. All right, and then in about 2 minutes, when I see enough people here, I will start the game. So I'm going to wait for a while for everyone to join in. All right, we have some people joining in, so I will wait for about maybe 20 of you. So please join in, because if you think you know everything about COVID, this quiz will test you. So fastest finger wins. We have 8 people. Please join in, join in, join in. All right, we have 10. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 minute. Join in. Okay, you can give any name you want. And once I press start, the game will begin. You have 10, 20 seconds to answer each of the multiple choice. Going to be very fast. All right, that's very good. So we have 15. Come on. We are going to wait till 3:25 in a minute's time. Please join in. Okay, we have 17 people. Very good. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Get ready, okay? Get ready. So you can see. Yes. So you can see on my screen now, there are actually a lot of you. All right. Actually 23 of you. All right. I hope to see at least 30 of you. 30 of you join in. Okay. You can call yourself any name. In 1 minute or 30 seconds time, I'm going to start. Okay, that's very good. So a lot of you, you must use your mobile. If you're using your mobile to watch this webinar, I don't know how you're going to do it. I think you got to switch application. All right. So I'm going to have a countdown of 30 seconds to start, because we can't wait. Now it's already 1 hour and 25 minutes into our webinar. So we're going to stop at 4 o'clock no matter what. Okay. I'm going to count down 15. Okay. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to start a game right now. Let's go. Okay, so all of you who are doing well, you will see your name. Actually, I'm sharing the screen right now. You see a lot of people are trying very hard. So if you are answering fast, your points will be increasing. So Kapachi, it's actually Chasten is actually number one right now. So it's very good. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. Never mind, you go to the next question. Okay. That's amazing, amazing. You just look at the screen. It's so amazing. For those of you who are not playing right now, you miss out a lot of fun, but I think you can still do it because I already pressed start and the accuracy overall is only a pathetic 55%. Only 55% generally gets things correct, and there are so many wrong questions. So remember, you need to answer every questions correctly. All right. So this is a game that it's awesome, and I think this is the fun of it. This is how you create virtual buy-in, virtual engagement. One of the ways. Okay. So today you're experiencing. All right. So we have 100 questions. We have 100 times you get it correct, and 90 of 91 of them get it wrong. Oh, can you imagine? Then can you imagine that? Okay. So the game is going to end very soon and you can see what are the positive results. Okay. This is really awesome, man. I'm so loving it right now. Okay. There are 33 players. All right. I hope everyone can see my screen as even as you're playing. I think you're coming to the end of it. You're at question 8 or 9 now, right now. All right. Okay. So it's awesome. It's really great. Right. Okay. So I'm going to end this game in about a minute's time. So if you're not finished, you'll be dead. Okay. So you can see right now that you are done. You will be seeing your leaderboard. So if you are still not done, then that's it. So I want to know, so we're all done, right? Rest. Okay. So let's end the game right now. Okay, so if you are tomato twist, please identify yourself. All right, you know who yourself. If a tomato twist, all right, you only got one wrong, and so far I see that nobody got it correct. All right, I don't know who is Galiana, Drenda, and Bamboo, Burhana. Please identify yourself in the chat. If you're that 1, 2, 3, you get a copy of my book in PDF. I'm going to send to you. So please text me privately. All right. And you better try to find me on Facebook or you know me on WhatsApp because the chat down here, once it's off, it's off. So this is what I mean. So this is what I mean by learning and development. Where you actually play a game, you can learn a lot of things that is beneficial to you, and it actually promotes a lot of um, excitement. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So H5P, I have no time to go into it, but please go to h5p.org. H5p.org basically make your video into an interactive video where they stop at the interval that you want, and you can install a quiz and MCQ out of it. And when a person got it right, then you continue. So that I actually meant to show you a demo, but I think for the benefit of time, I will leave it. Please go to hp5.org to try yourself. I think you should right now open up another tab to try a lot of this type of new tools. All right. So project management tools, Trello, it's a very important task list where you can break down the task into conceptualization, in progress, and completed, so that people know exactly at what stage is a project, and the project has a lot of votes. It gets adopted easily. not use Basecamp, but I think it's very similar. So I want to come to some best practices of doing virtual event. Of course, number one is to know your goals and select the most important software that you're going to chat on. Number two, understand the rules of engagement and everybody knows what is good and acceptable. Before this webinar, I had a group chat with all the panelists to tie down the format. And I think this is always good to make people understand that uh, even if it's on a virtual agenda, is very important. And of course, make sure that you have a facilitator. In this case, I'm the facilitator, and make sure that everybody it's okay. All right. So, um, number four, I think to get everybody's contribution is very important. So I make you all do something. So how often do you go to webinar that you are engaging, with the speaker through another gamification platform, right? And of course, if you need multiple roles, sometimes you need a timekeeper, you need note taker, you need someone to monitor conversation. In this case, I'm doing everything. Of course, it's stressful, but I'm used to it. But not everybody, it's like this. Sometimes you really need someone who is behind the scene. So, for example, if there's a chat for you and you're doing presentation, you wouldn't know because you are so engrossed in presenting. You can't see all the chat at all. And just now I was mute and I didn't even know. No, so fortunately, a fellow panelist actually tried to unmute me. So these are some of the things that you should learn. Never be afraid to make mistake, and you don't have to apologize to things that's gone wrong. People don't expect a perfect webinar. People don't expect a perfect training. People don't expect a perfect meeting. But I think the most important is we learn from it. So maintaining eye contact is important. Like now, I'm looking at you through the camera. You get a feeling that I'm looking at you. But if I'm looking down my slides and I'm reading my slides, you will get to see that I'm looking down and I'm not looking up. So I make this mistake many times that I'm looking down. So it takes a split vision to glance at your slide and then look back at the camera again and then try to talk and see that you can memorize everything. So last but not least, have a lot of icebreaker before you start, especially your team. You meet your company staff once a week. You need to have icebreaker. You need to have team building, and that is very important. So talking about that, I want to share a lot of different team uh, just five. I only have time for five ideas for your next meeting. Please play these games with your guys. This has nothing to do with technology. This has something to do with your creativity. So one guideline about virtual team building is you sign a leader, you must have very clear cut off time, and you must be able to collaborate and share screens. So make everybody be able to do it. So here goes. Number one, the next meeting you have with your guys, you can consider having 5 second peep at each other's home. So no matter how messy, no matter how small your place is, you can always give people a 3 to 5 second tour of what is your house look like. Number two, you can play the uh, uh, desert island games where assuming you are stuck in the island. What are some of the 7 things that you must bring along, right, to make a life easier? So that's icebreaker. And of course, you can say 4 things to each other. One of them are false. I just did it 2 days ago with my fellow facilitator. All right, so it's awesome that we mentioned 4 things. 3 things are right, 1 thing is wrong, and try to guess it. Also, maybe you can play a game like this where you actually show your picture 10 years ago and now and see how much difference it is. So sometimes, right, you need to find pictures that you really need to give a maximum wow factor. So of course, this is the inspiring one where you can all share a bucket list for COVID. Uh, do you want to, what are the tasks that you want to complete, or what are the things that you want to finish? What are the books that you want to read? You can share your bucket list. You must be creative. Okay. So I can't go on more. There is another seminar on purely icebreaker facilitation and team building. If you are keen, can you take out your mobile phone right now? It's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Take a picture of this or just go to the QR code and remember to sign up. Okay, I'm going to leave this for a while. Okay, please remember there's another webinar, 1 hour only, where Tim Hammond, all right, the visual recorder, and myself, I'm going to share a lot of icebreaker that is important for facilitator, for trainers like me. And even before a keynote, we can always try different ways of engaging people and make people talk and get ready. So what are the challenges for virtual event? We are coming to the end. Number one, communication. I think we need to hire the right people at the right time. COVID actually bring out the best or the worst in all of us. Is your culture, is your tribal culture stronger than before? Is it got to do with the tools that you're using? Is it because not everyone is given full liberty to communicate what they want to communicate? All right, there is a challenge on trust itself. All right, we have to go back to our mission statement. Is our mission statement originally still valid in this time? This is a new normal time. Is it still valid? Shall we rethink about a shared goal? And that is very important. Today, I think virtual meetings is not just going through the motion. It's not just about reporting numbers, KPI, or your timesheet. It's also about building trust. Because when we go back in a new normal time, things are going to be very different. Productivity. A lot of us says that during COVID time, we are busier than normal. It doesn't matter whether you're busy or not. The right question to ask is, are we more productive? I'm more productive, and I have turned up my notch a few more. I have up my gear a few more notch. I have found a lot of support. I have found a lot of energy by doing webinar that I never tried before. This is about the fifth webinar that I'm doing, and I have three more. I have one tonight. So push yourself more. And I think it's everybody's responsibility not to just embrace tech, but to be more productive in tech. Now, the last part, it's about marketing. So I have 8 points that I'm going to share, and that's the end of the webinar. I will bring back all the panelists for some Q&A. Number one, if you need to market your event, make sure you have a great landing page. This is very important. Everything, bio, your speaker's bio, your sign-up link, if you have a payment, your agenda, it must be very clear because people have so many choices. They want to be sure that they are going into the right one. And make sure that you have a very popular and relevant keywords like complimentary, maybe virtual summit, the first ever online seminar in hospitality, or the most anticipated webinar, or things like that. Things that has to do with the current situation always draw a lot of attention. And your email still works, so please take out your old list because today everybody is stuck at home. They have more time to read your email. They're not likely to trash it. So ask all your speakers to do a video, maybe share 2 slides in your presentation. Ask them to share 30 seconds of what they're going to speak about, share some statistics, even have a pre-show quiz. All this will help a lot of people, and they don't even have to be online. It can be done via WhatsApp even. Social media, it's of course evergreen, ever important. I have 11 things here that you can do. If you can't remember them, no problem. Again, I say you can download this slide on Google Classroom. You need every stakeholder to spread the word, and that's very important. Everyone has to work right now. Okay, so it is very important that you okay. So people say they're not seeing my screen. So it's okay. You cannot see my QR code. I think it's fine. Don't worry. I will share. When you get an email tomorrow, you have this link to the deck and you have everything. Okay. So remember to issue a press release, and that is always important. So this is my LinkedIn. So you can scan my code and you can get in touch with me. I will now stop sharing the screen. And can I invite back uh, can I invite back all the panelists to be back? And I want to open up the Q&A. All right. There is a question for Nick by Eric. How can VR and AR be used to do client servicing? You can unmute yourself.
Probably better to use what Peiru has just mentioned, the Microsoft team, because on the servicing level, I suppose it's more on the interaction. So I would presume that what Peiru has suggested will be a more feasible way of doing client servicing if you're talking about direct servicing in that sense. So it depends on what the question is.
Okay, right. So how about client seminar? How
Yes.
does to do client seminar?
So client seminar is pretty much like any other conference or event. You can technically do it in the virtual space, like, having it in the form of like a web portal where you have different elements, and you could also integrate live chat as well as a chatbot in that whole sequence. You probably can also do it in a virtual 360 environment where you create interactivity. Just treat 360 as a form of, as a media platform or tool for you to showcase something in a more holistic environment.
I see. Okay, great. That's great. Is there anything else from anyone? Don't worry.
Maybe I'll add on something to what Nick has shared. In fact, we have had some interesting conversations with showroom owners, right? Like they sell cars, right? Or they sell things that are physical in nature. So now what they are trying to do right now is to think about how they can bring that showroom into the virtual space, right? So while the user gets to see or like virtually touch and feel the place, the salesperson can actually guide the whole conversation experience. So I thought that that's actually a pretty good example to look at. And I think the good preparation of the whole virtual environment is a very good step for that to happen.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, because in actual fact, last year, 2018, end of 2018, we did a project with Toyota. We launched 4 cars on the AR platform, but back then it was still an application, but then it was used as a sales tool. So actually has been done. In China, it's quite common. And of course, now it's going to be more common in terms of a virtual environment using just a web-based rather than downloading an app, since people technically don't really like to download apps anymore.
Yes. That's right. Okay. Andrew, maybe you can also share the LinkedIn and the QR code PowerPoint, just flash the screen for a while, because I think just now the screen didn't come out.
Sure. So you mean my LinkedIn?
No, that's in the QR code.
The QR code. Okay. So let me just backtrack a little bit. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see now? Can you guys see now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the part. This is the one. Yes, nothing to do with tech. So today is about technology. Tomorrow is about the activity using those technology. So it's different, huh? So tomorrow we're not going to talk about tech, no deep tech, no nothing. It's about creativity. It's about how do you get people to be engaged. Because whether you do training, facilitation, fire chat, you do town hall, you do panel, you still need people to be engaged, and there are many ways. So you got to plan a experience. You got to really plan a virtual learning experience. Every meeting is a learning experience, so people don't expect to just sit down, relax, and just listen to everyone. So I think this is design for this. All right, and I think let's keep the conversation going. I think I have a few more questions. All right. So there's a question for Nick. How much does creating a VR event or AR event cost?
I think the budget is usually like creating a live event, so it's quite modularized. So I guess for anyone who is doing whether it's a virtual content, virtual event, just take it as like how you plan for a physical real event. The price range for startup is usually the same, just that the difference is that usually for virtual space, you probably can scale it a lot faster and you can recycle some of the materials. So the startup cost is usually quite similar to the physical ones that you are doing, but then eventually, right, the cost will be, I would say, substantially lower.
Sure. There's one question for Naveen. is from Michelle Au. Naveen, this question is this: with regard to security, is Zoom still an acceptable platform for webinar?
I didn't hear the last part of the question. Andrew, is Zoom still an acceptable platform for something? And I lost.
Okay, so with regard to security, is Zoom still acceptable platform for doing webinar? If not, which other platform would you recommend to do webinar?
Yeah, so for a lot of casual conversations, even at the company level, where you're having conversational meetings or team updates and stuff, Zoom is still very acceptable. They have some loopholes which they have fixed recently, and I think for most practical purposes, it's fine. But it's not the most secure. I think Cisco WebEx is a whole lot more secure. Microsoft Teams is a lot more secure, and Skype for Business is also a lot more secure. So these three, if it's very formal discussions where there's a lot of confidential information being shared, etc., I would prefer to go with these three platforms. But otherwise, Zoom, wearable, more than adequate. Because when people break in, there's not much that they can do in the middle of a conversation. They may be able to hear something. Unless they can really start putting AI tools that analyze all of the Zoom meetings in the world, for example, and then look at the titles of each meeting and then say, okay, those are the meetings we want to get into and listen in or something like that. It really doesn't make that much of a difference.
So give me an idea, and also please use code word for the title of your meeting so that you won't get hacked. This is just a side talk. Okay, there is interesting questions from Luxer, I think. This is for all of us. And how do we see the new normal, the post-COVID? How do you see the world and the business environment as? So maybe each of us have 1 minute. Can we start with Nick?
I think the new normal is where whoever that is not in the digital space for the next 6 months, right, will be either forced to do digital in any kind of engagement, whether it's from customer service down to sales, down to the way you present and market yourself, or you risk being replaced. That's the truth, but hard fact even for us as well. And the second new norm will be in terms of the way eventually how we engage our whole customer journey will also be entirely digitized. Of course, the physical world is still important since we are all a social animal. And of course, if you ask from the financial aspect, I think again the new norm will be something of also going towards the digital space and more on a I think I will skip the financial part, but I think the new norm will be that.
Peiru? Okay, Peiru now.
Okay, so yeah, for the new normal, in fact, I think we've been having a lot of these conversations with our clients. I think depends on the size of the company that you run. Once again, we always go back to the structure of people, process, technology. I do feel like well, turning digital, it's something that's very easy to say, but if structurally you're not prepared for it, it can be quite difficult, especially if people on the ground who may be a little bit resistant to it. But you know what? If there's any resistance in the past, going forward from today onwards, there won't be any, because they know that this is not a choice. So I see that the silver lining in COVID is that it suddenly makes everyone accept that. So what I do see is that in the future, right, people will be less they will be less insistent on a face-to-face meeting, right? They'll be more okay and open to to a virtual meeting like this. And people have also shared with me that they feel like when people are working from home, they are a bit more open to share. Yeah, so I think that there's definitely going to be a lot more digital media coming out. I do see a lot more people putting in more conscious effort to digitize their processes, digitize their meeting materials, instead of just saying, I'm just going to turn up and wing the meeting, right? I think there is going to be a lot less of that. So a lot more process automation as well. And I think all across the whole spectrum of internal and external communication, having it in digital format would be actually be the by default train of thought as compared to an afterthought when they know that a physical meeting is not as feasible.
I see. That's good. How about Alex? Are you around? Okay. How about Naveen?
Yeah. So I think the new normal is going to be driven by two primary factors. I should say three primary factors. One is the human being himself or herself. That is, we are all social animals and we have a desire to connect socially with people, whether it's at restaurants, whether it's in offices, etc. And we are also afraid for our own lives. So these two things are on the personal side. So we will adjust to a new normal with a strong desire to reconnect, but with some fear about our personal safety. There's the enterprise side of the new normal. The enterprise side of the new normal will result travel and expenses because people will realize that we don't need to travel as much to do business, and real estate. So offices or companies that have large offices will suddenly feel that we don't need such a high cost of offices. So that's the second dimension that's going to change the new normal. And the third dimension is government regulations. So I think a lot of new government regulations are going to come in worldwide, and that will put some restrictions on what type of services businesses are going to grow and certain types of other businesses that are going to go down.
I see.
Andrew, I'm here.
Okay. So Alex, in 30 seconds, what do you think the new normal will become post-COVID era?
Sure. I think most importantly, all of us should have a positive mindset. I mean, this is something that we cannot prevent. All of us need to learn and be adaptive towards new technology and stuff like that. So take pride and learn, make use of all this opportunity because this time around, data is king. So in fact, businesses will be much better as well because you'll be going on digital marketing and stuff like that. So a lot of data will be collected. And I believe that you could even provide a better service and a better product, kind of things for your customers because you would know them better this time around, and more people will attend because maybe a physical event might have more restriction. People need to travel, but this time around everything is on webinar example. So people are more forthcoming to attend events or attend to your business. So I think that a positive mindset will be very important. Thank you.
Yes. So I'd like to wrap up on the marketing aspect. So right now, if you're marketing your services, I strongly advise you to stop that because I think you should be marketing your empathy instead. So go through your client list and ask them, what can I do for you? Are you able to send them a deck about how to work from home? How do you get organized? About digital leadership? Do something that make them remember who you are and not just what you do, so that when the post-COVID era is here, they feel very connected to you because you look after their welfare during the time when everybody is struggling. So I think today the last thing that people have in mind is to spend money right now. I think everybody is trying to find new way of doing more. So if you can organize closed door mastermind group with your head honchos, if you can organize certain good events that add a lot of value, I think that is how we should act, how we should position ourselves. And that is also the reason why I'm doing this, because I think this is the best time. Before I want to do this, it takes me a lot of effort. It takes me a few months to get people together. I can tell you, I took less than 48 hours to invite all my good friends, and you guys have been great. You guys took care of me. My mic is not working, my screen is not sharing. You guys took care, and that is the spirit, because we are not here to watch each other's die. We are here to make sure that we still survive and be able to hold hands. So I hope everyone can leave this seminar thinking that tech is an enabler, but you need to learn, you need to know, you need to manage. You don't have to do, but you need to know what's going on. You need to leverage. So on behalf of all the panelists, myself, thank you everyone for being here. All of you, whether you are here or not, tomorrow you receive an email. And all the panelists, if you need anything for me to send to everybody, please tell me. I incorporate into the email. I will just send out tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and we will get in touch again. So now it's 3:55, so it's time to say goodbye. So everybody, I will still be around. So if you need to check anything, I will still be answering the chat. And for the panelists, if you really need to go, please feel free to move. And for me, that's all. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, so I will still be around, and please key in anything that you need to ask anybody. All right, if you need anything from me, all right. Some say the Google code is not working, so don't worry. You'll be done. All right.